This will be the reading for the sign of Sagittarius for the month of August 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman-Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled one overall energy card for the month of September 2026. And your card is the Eight of Cups reversed. And that talks about walking away from something, walking away from luxury or even security because you're bored with it, okay? You're bored with it. You've lost interest in a situation, in a relationship, in an environment, or even in a job. Now, it does say that perhaps this happens a lot in your life. Perhaps you've had a lot of relationships, a lot of jobs, okay? And you're trying to find some type of stability. It doesn't seem to be working for you. Now, you have a tendency to do this type of thing, to be flighty, to become bored with your activities, your relationships, your daily life activities, okay? And there's tensions building in your home environment. Combined families, second marriages, sharing accommodation is becoming stressful for you. And taking on the responsibility of somebody else's load is starting to be over and above what you're willing to do. Yeah. So it talks about you being detached and seeking a secluded environment, not wanting to be involved in things, not wanting to deal with other people's issues. And so that is your overall energy card, where you're finding that you're unhappy. You're unhappy. You're not at peace. You're not secure. And you want out of there like yesterday's storm. Okay. So we're going to move into the first week. And in that first week, the first couple of days of that first week, you have the Four of Cups. And the Four of Cups talks about being motivated. Being motivated more than material values and pleasures. Okay. You're motivated by self-confidence and determination and perseverance, and you're motivated by the physical aspect of your life. You're not looking at the finances. You're not looking at the beautiful cars and the nice houses and the big bank account. You don't seem to care anymore about that. You've changed your venue. It does say that you're overlooking something, okay? And you might even be pulling away from something and going through a period of depression. You're opening up in an emotional relationship or situation in your life, and you're not wanting to deal with other people's issues, okay? Now, it does talk about immaturity, and I mean, you might be dealing with the Eight of Cups energy card could also stand for a child in your life, perhaps a water sign child in your life that is, creating a lot of chaos and going through a lot of adolescent things. Because I don't read for kids, but this is pointing to someone who might be a teenager, okay? Possibly a teenager. And they're going through their growing pains, and you're not wanting to deal with it. They're very immature. And it's making it hard to connect with them. So you want peace and you want harmony in your environment and your relationships. And there might even be an issue with an authority figure in your life, maybe a boss or a father figure, or maybe if it's a father that has passed, it might be something that you had been brought up with, where your upbringing was very strict and very rigid, and you had to abide by the rules. And perhaps in this combined family, this young child is it a water sign? Yeah, it's a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. And they're not bending to your rules. They're not listening to you. They're not, they go to bed when they want to go to bed. They do their homework when they want to do their homework. And they certainly don't speak with respect. And so there's a lot of issues taking place. And you were raised in a different time, and you don't want to deal with this newfangled, modernized society, okay? Now, it does talk about you dealing with depression or even a psychosomatic illness, where you're not able to deal with somebody else's issues or somebody else's behaviors, okay? And it's starting to affect you health-wise. You're starting to basically throw your hands up and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm exhausted. I'm done with this blended family and this combined family. It's not my issue, and I don't want part of it. So good luck with that. Okay. So the next card you have in the middle of that first week is you have the Fool, and it's straight up. So that talks about learning new things, new possibilities. There is a journey of self-development coming, and even an unexpected situation. Someone, maybe you need a little bit more adventure in your life, okay? But you also need more experience. You don't have a lot of experience out in the world at large, okay? And possibly in work relationships, you're having a hard time to keep it together. You're not getting along. You're not looking at your coworkers and thinking that they are doing their part. You think that they're lazy. You might be, placating them. You might be kind of like browbeating them, okay? And that might be just your issue and not theirs, because you're used to things being done in a certain way, and it's not that way anymore. Now, if you are thinking that someone stole from you, or someone lied to you, or someone cheated on you, okay, maybe you're in a relationship. This card says that no, they did not. So you're looking at someone who's innocent of a crime, and the person who actually did the crime is not around. They're hiding it from you. So be aware of that. If someone is too quick to blame somebody else, usually it's them that did it. So be aware of that. Now, it also talks about newness in love, in a friendship, in an education, maybe even in a job. Maybe you're pulling away from a relationship that you were in a blended family, and you're pulling toward someone else. But it does talk about someone from the past. And it does say that you're going to get a second chance at your life, but use your common sense. It talks about an accident. It talks about maybe a car accident. You're not taking care of your vehicle. Maybe you're not paying attention at work and you get hurt at work, okay? So these are important times to notice. In that middle couple of days of that first week, you have to be very, very focused, and not, at a drop of a hat getting upset and letting your emotions rule your day, okay? Don't go bungee jumping, and don't go cliff jumping, and don't go mountain climbing, or, scuba diving in this period of time, because you're an accident waiting to happen, Sagittarius. Okay, so we are now in the last 2 days of that first week. You're worrying the hell out of everything, okay? You have these very strong mental energies. Perhaps even you're dealing with insomnia at this point in time. Avoid conflicts, especially with an air sign female, because it might lead to complications. Be very, very wary. If someone wants to start an argument with you and they're an air sign, walk the hell away. In fact, run away. Go to your room. Go to the local coffee shop, but do not get involved. Now, it also talks about someone who's dealing with female health issues. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a romantic partner, it could even be a mentor, a sister, an aunt, a mother, okay? And it's female health issues. Now, be realistic, okay? And realize that, you have to acknowledge and respect other people's journeys, okay? You can't be placating and blaming them for their illness or whatever's going on in their life, okay? Because everybody, what you say to others always comes back and roosts on your doorstep, so be aware of that. Now, are you becoming a caretaker to a female in your family? Whether that's a mother, a daughter, an aunt, a sister, a mentor, someone in your family, right? Is there someone in your family that is dealing with an illness, and you're going to have to become their caretaker for a period of time? So you're dealing with anxieties, a lot of them, okay? And you're gathering information. You're trying to confront the problems head on, especially with health, diet, and movement. So someone is having an issue with moving, okay? So their extremities, they're having problems with their legs, and that might be something that you are contending with. It might even be a mother, a sister, a niece, okay? It is a female energy. So, and you're going to be dealing with that because, you know what, Sagittarius, you need to. You're the only one that can at this point in time, and this person is counting on you. So we are in the second week, and in that second week, holy shit, you're feeling this lack of confidence. You really haven't had an opportunity to demonstrate your skill or even your leadership, okay? And other people are seeing it in you. Before you see yourself as a leader, they see that you have that potential. So you need to get other people on board with an idea that you have. And there is some uncertainty, but you know what? You're still going forward. You're still persevering. And that's what Sagittarius will do. Yeah. Now, it does say you're going to become more socially active, but you're a little bit shy and you don't feel comfortable in front of the spotlight or even about speaking or doing something in public. Maybe you have to do a presentation. You're not able to. You don't want to. You don't feel comfortable. You're going to need to practice because it's something that you're going to have to do. You don't have a choice, okay? So you're on your way to success, and it says use everything as experience and show what it is that you have. So you might be applying for a new job, and you might have to dig deep into that, that file of yours as to what knowledge and what skills you actually do have. So we are now in the middle 2 days of the second week. Eight of Pentacles reverse, and that talks about you doing some training. You're going to get involved in some type of training. Now, if you've been offered a job, maybe you're training on the job, doing OJT. Maybe you're training someone. Maybe you're becoming a mentor to someone who's moving into a position, possibly that you're moving out of. So you're getting moved up that echelon, and someone's going to take your spot. So you're going to have to train them in what you know. Now, it does say to get better organized in order to hold on to that promotion that you received, okay? And you're frustrated as hell, Sagittarius, because you're putting so much work into a project and you don't see it paying off. And you're tired, you feel this lack of vitality, and your health regime is in balance. I mean, you don't go home and go directly to bed. You go home and do 50 other things, right? And you're not focused on your health, and so that is going to affect you. But it also says you might be moving, so you're going to spend time organizing or caring for items that are important to you, okay? Maybe even getting involved in childcare in some way. Might be a problem that your siblings are going through, okay? Maybe even your car, your body, your clothes, your pet. You're organizing things, you're fixing things, you're getting to work to get your life stable. Okay, the last 2 days of that second week, you have you have the Five of Pentacles reversed. And so that talks about fears and challenges, okay? Because your situation is changing. It's subject to change. And it was secure, and now you're feeling a little bit lost. It does talk about financial worries. It talks about layoffs. Maybe you're going to get laid off. Maybe you're going to go on unemployment. And this is going to be a strain on your health. It's going to affect you. And it's going to affect your ego. It also talks about a home life that's unsettled or even not stabilized. Maybe you don't have a lot of outside activities. And if you're laid off from work or there's a downplay at work where you're losing hours, you don't have a lot of things to do at home. And so it's starting to make you stir crazy. It talks about unusual living circumstances, maybe living with your parents or having a parent come live with you, or maybe you're even couch surfing. Maybe you have left an environment, a job, a relationship, and so you're staying at a friend's house. And it might even be that needy family members are crashing on your couch, and it's creating issues. Don't think it isn't. And your relationships lately seem to be motivated by emotional neediness, and safety and security are an issue here. It's a risk, okay? You're having a risk with your security and your safety. Now, it does talk about circumstances are making people not respect authority. People don't care. I mean, thievery is like on the up and up. It's absolutely insane. Home invasions, thievery, all sorts of nonsense, robberies, okay? You could be walking down the street and get robbed at knife point, okay? It's really, really bad. People are not respecting authority. And so, losing status in some way in your life is affecting you mentally. And indeed, it's going to affect your health. So as you're moving into that third week, first couple of days of that third week, you know what? You have Nine of Wands straight up. So that's a good card because it talks about actually having the energy that you need to get involved in activities, multiple activities, okay? And, you might even do a little bit too much. Yeah, so getting involved in too many activities and enjoying them just a little bit too much. So I hope it's not any type of addiction like alcohol or drugs, okay? Because it will zap your strength and it's going to stop you from moving forward. You need to be your own advocate. You need to watch out for what's good for you and what isn't good for you and uncover a new meaning in your life, okay? Get involved. Get involved in your world, in your community, in your home, in your environment. Yeah. So maybe you're retiring. Maybe you're deciding that it's time to retire. You never know. So it does say, don't allow yourself to stagnate. Keep your mind active. Keep involved. Now, it does say that you are interested in everything, Sagittarius. You're looking for a venue for that active mind of yours, okay? And it's going to spur you on to bigger and better and more exciting endeavors, opportunities, environments, friendships, relationships, okay? So that's not a bad card. Actually, that's a pretty good card, the Nine of Wands, straight up. So next we have the Seven of Pentacles, and that's reversed in the middle part of that third week. So you've got this great imagination, and you're thinking, you're trying to manifest it. You're trying to bring about the things that you're dreaming of, okay? But, Sad, you have an unrealistic expectation about a relationship or even a career, even a promotion. So there might be some setbacks, maybe even financially, right? I mean, I did say that possibly you got laid off. Maybe you got laid off, but you had a big pension and you thought, well, I can deal with that. Well, maybe it wasn't enough, and so you have to be a little bit more creative. Perhaps you're going to have to invest and be careful with that. There's a lot of scammers out there. Now, it does talk about the inability to save money or to take care of your financial issues, and you're not focused on them. I mean, maybe you owe money to someone and you're supposed to pay it monthly, and you're not able to accommodate those bills from month to month. And that's going to create problems. Letting any bill slip in the month of August is going to create a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. But it does say that you have a sense of what needs to be done, but you can't seem to bring it into practical terms to be able to complete it. And the time element of a situation is uncertain. Maybe you got laid off for 3 months, 4 months. Maybe you're healing from an injury and that's why you're laid off. Maybe you're on unemployment, or maybe you're on paid training, okay? Those type of things. So you have to wait for those things to be over in order to move forward in a financial aspect in your life. And that's going to take a lot of physical effort to move forward, okay? And it might even talk about learning. I mean, maybe you had an accident and you hurt your leg, and maybe you have to relearn how to walk all over again, or how to do things in a different way physically, okay? Or even materially. So know that there is some illness that is going to hold you back in some way. But Sagittarius, if anybody can fix it, you can. And you're determined. You're determined to do that. Okay, so we are now in the last 2 days of that third week. Shit, Sagittarius, you're taking on way too many damn responsibilities, okay? And you're getting confused. You're a little bit uneasy about making decisions. So it says postpone any tough decisions until you feel confident, until you have more experience or maturity. Maybe somebody is vying for you to take over the operation of the floor in a factory, or in construction, to take over the building of something, or even in a financial aspect where they're wanting you to take over the responsibility financially for something, okay? And you don't think you have the skills. Maybe you want to be an investment officer, but you don't have the skills. You're going to need training. Yeah. That's the way to tell you. And it does say that you and a partner, whether that's an aspect of work or a relationship, okay, you're being pulled in two different directions. You're not agreeing on what it is that you're, wanting to achieve in your relationship, okay? So don't be unrealistic and don't be unreliable. Like, if you promise to do something or be somewhere, do it. Be there. Yeah. Adjust your schedule if you have to, because you know what? If you don't keep your word and set priorities, you are going to regret this for the rest of your life. Focus. Focus. Someone needs your focus. And indeed, Sag, if you don't focus, you might lose their respect altogether. Yeah. And that wouldn't be a good thing. So we're in that last week. And in that last week, you have the Two of Wands straight up. You know what? You and those damn choices. You're going to have to make a choice. Yeah, a choice between two things. Two invitations, two projects, two jobs, two educations, two residences, even two ways of living. And you want to go with the tried and true, right? The tried and true. Yeah, that's what you want. Whatever is more familiar. Whatever is more familiar, and it's easier for you. And then you choose to go that route, okay? You don't want to try anything new. No. You don't want to go to school, but it says you might need to, because it says you might have to get training and do a job on the side, yeah, in order to survive. And you know what? You don't want to do that. So it talks about you having two jobs, dividing your time between two jobs, two families, two sets of kids. I mean, a combined family, you know what I'm saying? Two groups of friends, two children. Yeah. So you're going to have to modify your plans, right? You're going to have to modify your plans to do with a spouse, an ex-spouse, or even a partner in a business deal. Yeah. And every individual in that partnership, whether it's a relationship or a job, okay, they need to be part of the solution. They need to be part of that dynamic. They have to give their all. They have to do their part. Now, it does talk about you having power and prestige in the, we're in the first 2 days of the last week. So you might be being promoted. Maybe you got promoted at work, or maybe you took a course and that moved you up that echelon, okay? But don't take it out on other people if you think you're all that and some more, right? Don't do that, because the feedback and the kickback and the karma's not going to look pretty, and it's not going to sit good with you. Yeah. So be aware of that. And you know, you might need to treat everybody equally. Yeah. Instead of having favorites, treat everybody equally and seek cooperation, and maybe even have to get help from influential people in your life, okay? Getting feedback on your ideas, and having good job contacts and exciting job opportunities, okay? There's going to be a lot of rewarding activities and interactions in your life in that last week of August 2026, and you're going to have to be a little bit more open-minded than you have been, okay? So be aware of that. And no negative nillies. So we are now into the middle 2 days of that last week. You're getting a message about money. A message about money. Someone is concerned about their security. Maybe you. Maybe you got a message about a bill that you owe that you haven't paid. Okay, maybe someone's taking you to court because you owe them money. So you're worried about that. And it does say that circumstances that literally stopped you dead in your tracks from becoming who it is you want to be, right? Developing into your best potential. And it might even be someone you care about who their education has been kind of stagnated because of the fact maybe it's a child of yours, and maybe they're going to be a first-time parent, right? And that is kind of like stop them from moving forward in their life. And so there's a lot of tension around that. There is a lot. Now it also talks about possibly an early pregnancy, loss of a home, loss of a job, a relationship. And it does say you're going to get a phone call or a message from an earth sign individual, okay, about a delayed trip. A delayed trip. So something that you were vying for, that you were planning on, maybe meeting with an earth sign individual, or they were coming to visit you for some reason, and maybe they missed the bus. Maybe you were supposed to pick them up, a half hour away from your home or an hour away from your home, and they missed the bus and they're stuck at the bus stop and they're scared, they're terrified. Yeah, they're all alone and they're scared. And that phone call is going to put the fear of the Lord into you. So be aware of that. Be aware of that last week. There's a lot of tension. Yeah. Okay, so they're going to tell you about something that they're dealing with. Delays in paperwork. It talks about health problems. Now, it might even be you with health problems, or it could be this earth sign individual who is dealing with health problems and something in the early stage, okay? So be aware of this. Now, it does talk about a special health regime. It talks about herbs. It talks about vitalism. So if this is someone that you care about, be aware that they might be dealing with some health issues that need to be focused on right now. And so maybe a trip that was planned to see you is going to have to be canceled. Or maybe it was a trip that you had planned on taking with this individual, and they're not able to accommodate that because they have to worry about their health or the health of someone they care about. And it could very well be a child, because it is a Page of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, it's a Page of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so let's move on. The very last card in that last week is a Ten of Cups and it's reversed. Jeez, there's something going on in your family. Something going on in your family, and it's not a good thing. It has to do with health. But the Ten of Cups reverse talks about you needing to open up to a wider view of life. You're too narrowly focused. You're focused on work and going home and watching TV and, like, then going to work the next day. You're not focused on where this is all leading to. You're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the past. You're kind of stagnating in the middle. Now, it does say that somehow you're closed off to different views of life and attitudes, and you're kind of stuck in your ways, right? You're stuck in your ways. You're not willing to change your attitude. Yeah. And if you have children, trust me, this is a hard thing to deal with. Now, it does talk about private family sorrows. There might be someone in your life who has passed away. There might be someone in your life who is dealing with severe health issues, okay? And there is some type of dysfunction in some area in your family life. Your relationships in your family are shaky, whether they are a combined family from a new relationship or whether it is a previous relationship, okay? There's a lot of issues that are taking place. And people around you, they're understanding, but they're not a right spiritual match for you, okay? They don't believe in your divine. They don't believe in your spiritual belief, okay? Now, it does talk about you needing to open up your heart to someone who's dealing with health or even recouping from an illness in their life, okay? And there's a lot of negative behavior patterns that need to end with you, Sagittarius. They start with you and they end with you, okay? You need to learn new coping skills. It's essential. And it also talks about the fact that possibly you haven't taught, if you have children, you haven't taught those children the same type of needed coping skills. And it might even be one of your children or a sibling that is dealing with this type of issue. And you might have a family member, a parental figure, a father, a mother, a grandmother who might be dealing with health issues that might be, chronic or might take them to the pearly gates, right? So what I'm saying is there is a cycle. There is a cycle in our families. There is a cycle in our lives. And this is what you need to focus on in that last week. You need to break that cycle. So that was a pretty heavy duty reading, and I shall see you in September. And I hope that all goes well for you. Stay strong, persevere, and I'm sure you will find the light. Namaste, my friends. Bye-bye. See you in September.